The function in this file has been made more flexible by passing to it as an argument the ID of the element whose font size you want to change. However, it only toggles between two sizes. To add greater flexibility, I'm going to create an array of sizes. An array is a special type of variable, or to be more precise, a JavaScript object that stores a list of values. Before creating the array, we need to do some preparatory work. So I'm going to delete this conditional statement. We won't need that. Apart from the argument that's passed to this function, at the moment the function contains only one variable. Because of the changes I plan to make, I need some more variables. Now, many developers declare variables only when they're needed. However, this results in declarations being scattered throughout your code, making it difficult to maintain. So it's now recommended that you list all your variables at the beginning of the function. So what I'm going to do is put my insertion point just before the semicolon there and insert a comma, and then go on to a new line and then line up with the word list, my first variable, and then create a new variable, font size, and I'm going to assign that the value of list style font size, and then another comma, and this is the variable that I'm going to create, called it sizes. And there are a couple of ways in which you can create an array. One of them is to use the new keyword followed by array with a capital A and put the values between the parentheses. But very frequently people use what is now called an array literal, which is much easier to create. You just type everything between a pair of square brackets. So open square brackets, and I'm going to type an array of numbers. Numbers in JavaScript don't need to be in quotes. So each array element is separated by a comma. I'm putting a space after each comma to make it easier to read, but the space is not necessary. So there I have a list. It's an array which consists of 4 elements. Now I'm just going to tidy my code up a little bit by removing those extra spaces. Normally you shouldn't put new lines in commands because that breaks JavaScript code. But when you're declaring multiple variables as a comma-separated list, you can put a new line after the comma, and that makes it much easier to read the list of variables like this. The alternative is to use the var keyword with each new variable and end each command with a semicolon, but doing it as a single list like this is considered to be more convenient. Accessing a CSS property such as font size through the JavaScript style object is equivalent to using an inline style. Now there is no inline style at the moment in our underlying HTML markup. So when the function is executed for the first time, list style font size will actually be an empty string, and JavaScript treats an empty string as being false. So if font size is an empty string, that means it's being run for the first time, and what I need to do is to use the second value, 20, in my array. So I'm going to create a conditional statement, if, and then the logical not operator, font size. So if font size is an empty string, it will be false, and the logical not operator reverses that meaning. So if it's an empty string, it's false. Using the logical not operator turns the condition into true, so the code which I put inside my code block, inside the curly braces, will be executed. And the code that I want to execute is to set list style font size to the second value in my sizes array. And you access an array element by giving the variable name followed by a pair of square brackets, and inside the square brackets you insert a number representing the position of that element in the array. And what is a little bit confusing about JavaScript arrays is they begin at 0. So element number 2 is actually numbered 1. And then I need to add to the end of that the string px. And as you've probably noticed, I've used a plus sign there. JavaScript uses the plus sign to add together both arithmetic calculations and also to join strings. This actually is a number, but because the second part is a string, the whole thing will be converted into a string, so that's why I use the plus sign. So what's happening here is when the function runs the first time, font size will be an empty string. If font size is an empty string, that's treated as false. The logical not operator reverses that meaning, so it executes the command within the curly braces. Sizes 1 is the second element of my sizes array, in other words the number 20, and it's added together, or to use the correct term, it's concatenated with px, so it becomes the string 20px, and that will insert an inline style dynamically into the code and change the font size to 20 pixels. So let's save the page, activate live view and test. There we are, it has changed the font size to 20 pixels. More work needs to be done on this function to access the other elements in the sizes array. But to recap, an array is a JavaScript object that can store multiple values in a single variable. You create an array literal by creating a comma-separated list of values inside a pair of square brackets. You also use square brackets to refer to individual array elements. But array elements are counted from 0, so sizes 1 refers to the second element in the sizes array.